The phone wouldn't stop vibrating on the nightstand. Not ringing, vibrating. Short bursts. Panicked, like a trapped insect. I watched it from the edge of the bed, already awake, already cold. Her side of the mattress was empty. Still warm, still dented. The ceiling fan ticked like a metronome counting down something irreversible. When I finally picked up, there was no voice at first. Just breathing, too fast. Then my name, from a nurse. Then another voice in the background. Familiar, slurred, afraid. 3 voices. 3 men who used to call me brother. My wife, somewhere between them, crying like she'd discovered pain for the first time. "They're all here," the nurse said carefully. "Same symptoms. We need you to come in." I smiled at the dark. The timing was perfect. Just hours earlier, she'd stood in the kitchen, arms crossed, eyes sharp with contempt she no longer bothered to hide. "If you can't handle me sleeping with your friends," she'd snapped, "then leave. They're real men." I hadn't raised my voice. I'd smiled, slow, controlled. "As you wish." Now the past was catching up to the present, and the truth was already walking down a hospital corridor, clipboard in hand. I'd known something was wrong, long before she found the courage to say it out loud. It wasn't the late nights, or the way she guarded her phone like it held state secrets. It was subtler than that. The glances, the shared jokes that died when I entered the room, the way my friends stopped looking me in the eye. I told myself I was paranoid. That betrayal always looks obvious in hindsight. That love rewires suspicion into self-blame. Still, I watched. I listened. I learned their new rhythms. 3 men, 1 woman, 2 synchronized to be coincidence. I didn't confront. Confrontation is for people who want answers. I wanted confirmation, so I became invisible. I checked phone records, location histories, calendar overlaps that formed a pattern so clean it was almost artistic. I listened to silence and let it speak. I let them believe they were smarter than me. They were sloppy. Confidence does that. I smiled at dinners. Toasted beers? Laughed at stories I already knew the ending to. Inside, something hardened, not anger precision. When she finally exploded, when she said it out loud, weaponized the truth like it would shatter me, I felt relief. The guessing was over. What she didn't know was that I'd already made arrangements. Nothing dramatic. Nothing loud. Just facts lined up and waiting. At the hospital, the fluorescent lights were unforgiving. They stripped everyone down to what they really were. Fear looked ugly on familiar faces. My wife sat rigid between them, mascara streaked, hands trembling. The men avoided my eyes. One was dry heaving into a plastic basin. Another clutched his chest like guilt had finally found a physical form. They all looked identical. Same pallor, same tremor. Same dawning realization that whatever this was, it wasn't random. I took a seat, calm, polite. The doctor entered. Middle-aged, tired, honest in the way only people who've seen too much can be. He glanced at the chart, then at them. "This is difficult," he said. "But your diagnosis is acute stress. Response combined with exposure-related illness." Silence. He continued. "You've all been exposed to the same trigger. Emotional shock can manifest physically when denial collapses." He looked at my wife. "Infidelity-related trauma," he added gently. "Not uncommon when multiple parties are involved." Their faces froze. I stood. That was my cue. I placed a folder on the table between them. Phone logs, messages, dates, times. Their words, preserved and printed. Truth doesn't need embellishment. "I knew," I said quietly. "Before you said it. Before you thought I could be humiliated into leaving." My wife's mouth opened, closed. I leaned closer. "You thought I was weak because I was quiet. You thought silence meant ignorance." I straightened. "It meant restraint." The doctor cleared his throat, uncomfortable now. Human. I walked toward the door. No shouting, no accusations, just the sound of certainty settling in. In the parking lot, the morning air felt clean, detached, like the world had finally aligned itself correctly. I didn't feel victorious. I felt finished. Some people think revenge is about pain. It isn't. It's about clarity. And as I drove away, leaving them to their matching symptoms and shared regret, I realized something simple and final. I didn't lose anything that day. I shed it.